Damn! Damn! Now you see, that's the bullshit I'm talking about. I already got access through the window. The moment I got access through the window, then this puzzle should have been avoided. But these old school games are so fucked up. It never occurred to them to like, okay, he gone through the window or through the vent. There's no point to do this again. Old school games, man. See what I'm saying, man? See what I'm saying? Like, that thing was clearly covering the pothole. But everything in these old school games, you have to be at exact point, at exact angle. It's so fucking stupid. That's why, as much as I love old school games, I'm glad those times have passed. Like, the incompetence of the old school games is unbelievable. And you see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? I'm standing right inside of right in front of the fucking door, and he doesn't go in because you have to be at the exact angle on the fucking door. But they designed the cameras within this old school game so that even if you're standing in front of the door, if you're not standing exactly in front of the door, you can't get in. Like, old school games were like fun, but they were also fucking stupid as hell. You sometimes start to think to yourself that these motherfuckers must have been on drugs. Because from a visual standpoint, and they're visually looking at their game from a computer rather. If you're telling me that they can't tell that someone's standing in front of a door, there's something wrong with them. And there's another thing. There's another thing. I was standing behind the enemy, and because the enemy was not facing in my direction, the shotgun didn't know where to go. Like, it couldn't see the enemy's head or the enemy's body. So when I aimed the shotgun at his back, the shotgun was aiming to the left or to the right. But the enemy was right in front of me. It's because they coded the enemy to only be active in front of you, not from the behind. It's fucking stupid, man. How they made old school games. Incompetent. Wait, hold a minute. What the fuck is going on here? Now I know the zombies that look like they're mannequins can probably regenerate, but these are regular zombies. I killed these assholes already. There's something. I don't know. I didn't make this fucking game. Hey, here's another thing. Here's another thing about these old school games. This is in this corner right here. Right here. But now you can see it here. Like it's right in front of him. And I was thinking maybe there's a computer in front of him. But it isn't. This visual computer right here is not in front of him. It's all the way the fuck over here. This is how terrible they used to make old school games.
Rebecca, you're safe.
I saw you in the garden. I've caught up with you at last.
Well, I'm glad you're all right. Don't go out alone.
Yes, sir.
Chris, as my subordinate, you have wonderful talent.
I would never work for a company like Umbrella. And Wesker, you were formerly with Umbrella.
What do you mean?
Since when have you been an Umbrella agent? And a traitor to the stars?
Now you're wrong. I was formerly with Umbrella, yes. But now I'm prepared to face anything. Even getting rid of you vigilante stars.
Now, the worst possible situation has occurred. The failure of the experiment created a virus, a biological weapon, polluting the entire lab.
No, the worst happened with the Tyrant virus. I lost some of my STARS team members because of it.
You killed them with your own hands. Did you kill Enrico?
Really?
Yeah, like this.
Rebecca!
Don't move. If you do, I'll kill you. Chris, I have something to show you. Now, walk.
Is this?
That's right. This is the ultimate life form. Tyrant. Chris? Stop it.
Wesker, you're pitiful. This is your savior? You say this failure is your savior?
You can make sure yourself whether Tyrant is a failure or not. Go to hell. Jill will join you too. What? Don't come this way! No!
You can't kill me!
Okay. Okay, so I have no idea that I would need bullets for this situation. Great. About old school games. There was no indication of when you're gonna get into a boss fight or not, which is fine. But the problem lies within the backtracking, because not only do you have to backtrack, then you cannot skip cutscenes within old school games, which means you have to repeat. They really fucked up things back in the days. Like, no one wants to see something 3 times over in a cutscene, simply because they didn't program things correctly. So I gotta go all the way the fuck back to where my damn crate was, just to get rounds. If I remember clearly. Alright, I'll start from here. It's like they were somewhat smart back then, but they weren't actually really smart. Like, they were only smart with regards to coding and how to do things. But when it comes to thinking, with regards to what makes sense, you know that they were just like smart people. What common sense thing didn't wasn't really common to them. I don't think I need more than 6 into his body, but just in case, probably don't even need more than 3, because this is a Colt Python Magnum. Probably take like 3 rounds to take him down, and then the door will unlock by itself. I'm assuming. This is an assumption. The backtracking is fine. That's not the problem. The problem with this game is all the small little devils in the details people don't think. Because like, if I'm standing in front of this door, but the angle of the camera is at a different angle, I'm probably standing at this angle. But depending on where the angle of the camera is facing, right or left, you would think you're actually standing in front of the door, but you're not. Because they designed the tile set back then, it was terrible. I now know I now know the reason why they create the rewind in these old school games like Dino Crisis and this. I know the reason why. They have the rewind and then they have the save. The save and the load, on the person to save and load, is due to bugs and glitches in old school games. And the rewind is due to the god awful backtracking. That's why you have the rewind. Because back in the days, these people couldn't motherfucking map things out correctly. So you could be backtracking up and down for the life of you, spending 10 fucking years trying to get to something because they couldn't do things properly back in the days. Because the so-called storytellers and game designers thought they had an interesting story and they wanted to tell it, but they didn't know how to map out stories like you map out a movie: beginning, middle, ending, and in between, following a pathway. But their pathway was all over the fucking place because they wanted an immersive game where you could search and find things on your own, which is fine. A non-linear game, which this is. But there has to be a pathway to get to where you need to get to. And these aren't dumb people. Chris, Claire, Leon, Jill, Wesker. Once they have a map, they now know where they are, and they now know where they have to go to based on where they last were. So if the game character knows that, okay, I was in room B3, I'm now going to log this room as B3, so I have to know what room I'm in. But the in-game characters are fucking dumb, so they don't log it. They depend on you to remember, the user, the room. But the people who designed the game, they said, well, you have to remember the room that you're in, because we didn't get off our asses enough to, like, once you enter a room, the room is now logged, so you now have to remember everything, period, or write it down on a piece of paper. It was terrible back in the days. Terrible. I could say lack intelligence thereof, but who knows, man. Now I have to watch this whole goddamn, and you can't skip it. You can't skip it. You can't fucking skip it either. Like they really didn't use their heads back in the days.
I saw you in the garden. I've caught up with you at last.
Well, I'm glad you're all right. Don't go out alone.
Yes, sir.
And you're telling me that they couldn't create a skip button feature back in the days? I'm pretty sure they could have.
Chris, as my subordinate, you have wonderful talent.
I would never work for a company like Umbrella. And Wesker, you were formerly with Umbrella.
What do you mean?
Since when have you been an Umbrella agent? And a traitor to the stars?
Now you're wrong. I was formerly with Umbrella, yes. But now I'm prepared to face anything. Even getting rid of you vigilante stars.
Now, the worst possible situation has occurred. The failure of the experiment created a virus, a biological weapon, polluting the entire lab.
No, the worst happened with the Tyrant virus. I lost some of my STARS team members because of it.
You killed them with your own hands. Did you kill Enrico?
Really?
Yeah, like this.
Rebecca!
Don't move. If you do, I'll kill you. Chris, I have something to show you. Now, walk.
Is this?
That's right. This is the ultimate life form. Tyrant. Chris? Stop it.
Wesker, you're pitiful. This is your savior? You say this failure is your savior?
You can make sure yourself whether Tyrant is a failure or not. Go to hell. Jill will join you too. What? Don't come this way! No!
You can't kill me!
What the fuck is up with this game, man? Like, where's this idiot aiming? He aimed straight forward, completely missed. Like, what the fuck? He missed twice already. What in the living balls, man? I've seen stupid shit in my days. But if I spin around to aim at an enemy and I shot past him, now that's fucking stupid. Especially if the aiming is a lock on when you're facing the enemy. My God.
Wow!
Ha! It seems like this bulletproof jacket is pretty strong.
I see.
How about Captain Wesker?
He is sleeping with the ultimate failure. Hurry up. I want to get out of here.
Excuse me, Chris.
What, Rebecca?
I saw a research file in this lab. It said that a great deal of research on the Tyrant virus exists right here. We should blow this place up.
We are already into it over our heads. Rebecca, can you do it?
Yes, sir. I'll set off a triggering system for a bomb.
Okay. Now we have a chance to escape. See you outside the house.
Second thought. Yep. On second thought, I'm taking this out. These old school games were glitchy, so I'll save randomly. Both save randomly and the new save.
There is 3 minutes until explosion. I made it! I set off the triggering system to the bomb!
Great! Rebecca, Brad's up in the helicopter.
Like seriously, man, like what in the living balls? The timer is counting down and they're having a fucking conversation. See what I'm saying about these old school games? It makes no sense. There's a countdown while you're having a conversation.
Look at those monsters!
Chris, if Brad is in the helicopter, get in contact with him by any means!
But,
I'll hold back the monsters!
okay, I trust you.
Trust me!
And that's another reason why the rewind exists. Because if you died to this guy, like maybe one, two, three, four times, you would then have to go back to your save from your save room, run all the way up the stairs, pay attention to the fucking animation again where you and Rebecca, and then watch him do his entrance tyrant scene again, and then do it over and over and over again. Like they really didn't know how to do the whole skip thing. That's why the rewind exists.
Are you tired, Rebecca?
Sorry, Chris. I am.
You did a really good job. This case was just too weird. This case was...
And that's another gripe I have with this game. You're telling me they put most of their budget into the gaming aspects, and they only had 2 live scenes. One live scene at the beginning of the game, intro, with live actors, and another live scene at the end of the game. So there were no live scenes in between. Now, I already know how budgeting and all that stuff works for back in the days. It was more expensive. Talking like college level, freaking acting in college level, freaking cameras and camera usage, and cosplay outfits. So they weren't like going to a huge gaming studio asking for stuff. They were just doing straight using their college cameras and their college outfits and some cosplay stuff from a Halloween store or something and putting stuff together. So you're telling me they only had an intro scene, which is pretty long, and an outro scene which was short, less than a minute, less than 30 seconds. And the remainder of the entire game was just a game, which is fair, but not really. So the actors who participated in this game only got to do several scenes from the game. One where they all participate together at the beginning of the game, and at the end you have various different endings with different characters, which they each individually get to do. So it's not like they had multiple scenes. They only had one scene, 1 minute scene at the beginning of the game, and then less than a 30-second scene at the end of the game. So they didn't do much acting at all. Majority of their budget went into the game itself. So I'm saying to myself, like, but the majority of the game, design of the game wasn't good. The structure of the game wasn't good. The game would have been slightly better if they had had more live cutscenes. Or, if they didn't, they would have used that to create a skip button, or to adjust how doors are so you don't have to be running into walls thinking that you're in front of doors. I don't know. It would have been so much better, but like we're talking about, and this is the cream of the crop, the worst part. If they had made more acting scenes for real people, the game would have been far more popular than it is today. Because they wouldn't have to emphasize a lot with regards to the structure of the world within the game. And they would have saved a lot of money because buying college cameras or using college cameras or borrowing college cameras and stuff would have been much cheaper than spending tons of time. And maybe it wasn't. Maybe that's the reason why. Maybe back in the days it's different from today. Like just to get a camera from your school or something, it was probably more expensive than making a fucking video game. But you know what? I might be right. It was probably more expensive just to do a simple shit like borrowing cameras from college and spending lots of money on cosplay and then doing a 1 or 2 minute scene. It's unbelievable. Back in the days, that shit was more expensive. Now, computer graphics is the most expensive part. You've invested a lot of money into just putting on a pants on a character. It's a lot of time and money in our graphic scenes, whether it's of a potato or a cartoon rabbit or something. It's ridiculous. You have better chance making a live action a video game on a college budget than to make an actual video game with 3D models today. It's the reverse now. So I kind of get it. So that was the Chris and Rebecca ending, I guess. Or that was the Chris ending with Rebecca. Am I gonna do a Jill playthrough? I probably won't do a Jill playthrough. The controllers are tanky as hell. If I was scoring this game, if I was giving it a score based on the time it came out, based on the design of the game, and being fair to it because of the time it came out. See all that, the spiders and everything, the tyrants, the zombies, and the time that it came out. I would have this game like at 8 most. No, 7, anywhere from 7.5 to 8 most if I was living back in the days and I saw this game. Because the people back in the days playing the game were having the same difficulty as me now playing the game. There were no difference. They had controllers. Their controllers were a little bit different. There were no L3 or R3. It was only left, right, up, down, and X, Y, and Z buttons. But they were having the same difficulty as I do navigating. So this game would have probably mechanically be anywhere from a 7.5 to an 8. Its popularity only skyrocketed simply because that it was one of the first survival horror games. So it was lucky in that sense to be one of the first survival horror games that was actually done good. So the moment it hit probably 8 back in the days, it was probably the most popular simply because it was one of the first that actually did it good in an RPG. Was it the best? No. It wasn't one of the best playable games back in the days. Was it one of the first RPG horror games? Yes. And I think it's because of that is the reason why the score went up from like an 8 to like an 8.5 and 9 back in the days to other people, because they were just hype for something that they didn't see a lot, or they were just on rail shooter House of the Dead, and there was no RPG horror survival game. So they were just riding on the hype. But realistically, this game was anywhere in the mid 7s to low 8s back in the days. If I was to judge it, it would be anywhere from mid 7s. So that's not good. At most, it would have been a B. But people who put this game as an A back in the days, you know they're on that bullshit. Now, another thing I would say, if you get the automatic save and the automatic load here, if you had save using this the whole time, the whole playthrough, you would have gotten number of saves 0, which would have allowed you, and that's another reason why the save and load exists and the rewind exists, because it would allow you to unlock secret stuff. The amount of saves would have probably, if you had 0 saves, or if you maybe had like 4 or 5 saves, you would have probably got secret costumes and stuff. So the game is the, or should I say, the up-to-date version, or the director's cut revamped version or redone version, where you have the load saves and the rewinds. Is simply there to make your life easier and to enjoy the game the way it should have been, not to go through a headache the way people did back in the days, because it was a pain in the ass for them, just as it is a pain in the ass now, because they didn't know how to do things correctly back then. So that's it for this game. Now let's see if I unlocked anything special. I'll place New Game Plus. I believe the old school game also had New Game Plus, so I'm going to do it here within the 9 slot. And then when I load it from I should have my Magnum and all my rounds when the game starts new. For Chris, I believe, if I play Chris again, I should have the Magnum. So when you load it from...
I don't know what happened.
So when you load it from that load after you beat the game, it completely skips the intro scene and goes straight to the gameplay itself, which is kind of dumb in a way. Very dumb, because the intro live action scene is part of the game, so they decided to just ignore the intro live action scene and skip straight to this scene. It doesn't really make sense, but it is what it is.
Barry! Where's Barry?
Well, I'm sorry, but he's probably...
No. What is that?
I'll go and check.
Okay, Jill and I will stay in the hall in case of an emergency.
Chris? Take care.
Alright, so the objective is to find the first crate. Now if I go to the first crate and I find the first crate, and there's nothing inside of the first crate, not the Magnum or the bullets or anything that from the previous gameplay, then I would say that this original first game is actually a failure, and I would probably drop it more points if by loading up after beating the game once it's not there, you have to actually officially start all over again. But I don't believe that's the case, so the only way to truly know for sure is to get to the first crate. Okay, so apparently a skip button does exist, but it only exists once you beat the game the first time. And that's another part of this original game that's kind of dumb, because if you repeated a scene, even though it's your first playthrough, and you die multiple times at a scene, you shouldn't be able to see that scene again where it's your first playthrough. You shouldn't have to beat the game completely, and then, only then, can you now skip cutscenes. That's kind of stupid. But like I said, back in the days, they didn't really think about that stuff.
Wesker? Jill? What happened to Jill and Wesker?
And there's another error right there. Typically, when you shoot a zombie, he goes down. You then shoot him in the back, and that will make him get back up again. And then you shoot him again, and then he falls to the ground, and he's dead. Once you shoot him the second time, falls to the ground, he's dead. Period. It's always been that way. But that was because I didn't see any pool of blood, means that he was still alive. But that typically doesn't work. Typically they get up, you shoot them, they fall down, you shoot them again to make them get back up, shoot them again, then they fall down, then they completely die. So that shouldn't have happened.
Whoa! What is it?
What? Oh! Oh no! Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
You must be from the Bravo team.
Yes, I'm Rebecca. Rebecca Chambers. I'm a newcomer. I just joined the Stars Bravo team last month. Well, I'm really sorry. Are you all right?
Yes. I'm Chris Redfield from the Alpha team. Are you the only person here from the Bravo team?
Well, because the helicopter made a forced landing, I just ran into this house anyway, but
I see. There's nothing else you could have done anyway. It's good you're here.
Yes, sir. But it's strange. I serviced the helicopter recently, but something went wrong with the engine. It was such a short flight.
And there it is. Failure. Fail. So, if I was to originally play this game back in the days, and I was to beat the game, and I would come back to the game after I collected the Magnum and the Magnum bullets, and then all the machine gun rounds, and then the herbs and everything, and the game say, nope, you gotta collect all that shit all over again. Because the only thing I collected just now was the small key and the emblem. I put it in. So basically the only thing the game gave to you, as in the chest, is 2 clips. Are you telling me, because I'm pretty sure there was a clip in the game when I originally opened the crate. So are you telling me the game just gave me an extra clip? Or let's say it didn't give me anything, nothing was in the crate. So for beating the game you only get 30 rounds. The Magnum you got, the Magnum rounds you got, all the herbs you collected. Nothing. Worth nothing. Your effort was for no reason. So this game would have been a failure in my eyes back in the days if I was originally playing this back in the days. And the most I would have given to it would have been a 7. The only reason why this game is successful is because it was one of the first in its genre. And it was an RPG in that field, survival horror versus zombies. I believe it was the first survival horror RPG game where you're playing as a character in the story and you're going from location to location and you're shooting zombies. I believe there was no other game before that, zombie related, that was a role-playing game where you run around, you shoot zombies, and you're in a story, and you're going from place to place in a story. There was none before that. All zombie games before that was rail shooters, or like, so this game only gets kudos. This game only gets kudos for the fact that it was a first in its genre. And people gave it high praise back then simply because it was the first. Like at minimum they probably gave it like an 8.5. But looking back on things, I would say this game would be a failure in my opinion. Simply if I was to first play it back in the days. And I was to give my honest opinion back in the days. I beat the game, I start the game all over, and I'll have to do everything all over again. To someone beating the game and then showing it to their friends back in the days, whether you're a teenager or adult or whatever, the whole idea, concept of reclaiming everything would have mean that there would be no point in playing the game past. There would be no point in playing the game past beating it once. And the only reason you would want to play it a second time is for the nostalgia of playing a survival horror games. And thus you would play it a second time and beat it a second time. So in that sense, that would be the only reason why it would be in the 8th category. But I'm assuming, and here this is an assumption, if I had beaten the game with less saves, would it have given me something special in my crate? It probably would have. But we're talking from the point of view of a regular gamer, like random people playing games, not someone who's trying to acquire special things. So the game never rewarded you for just beating the game itself. Like if the reward for just beating the game once was to give you like 2 extra clips, 30 rounds, that's not much of a reward at all. Because you don't need to shoot anything in this game if you could run by them. And you can only shoot things when necessary. So giving you extra rounds doesn't really help you. So if I was judging this game back in the days, this game would have been a failure in my opinion, because you don't get any rewards for beating the game the first time. On average, like an average person playing the game, saving over and over again, you get nothing other than maybe a clip or 2. And maybe when I first played the game, those 2 clips were in there from the beginning. So maybe you get nothing at all back in the day. So unless you achieve a certain thing, like only 5 saves throughout the entire game. So who would know this? If, like, say if you were a newbie to survival horror back in the days, how would any of those people know this? If they just picked it up off the shelf and played it, how would they know this? They wouldn't. It's a hidden thing that is not given to anyone. They wouldn't know any of this stuff. The people who made the game didn't explain that you could get any achievements on the box when you purchase it. So when you first play this the first time, you would probably play it only once and maybe only twice for nostalgia, and then you put it away and never come back to it. So in my opinion, Resident Evil 1, if I was a critic back in the days, this game would have gotten a 7 most. That's my opinion on it. And it would have gotten an 8 simply before it being a genre of its own, starting the whole survival horror or defining the survival horror. So the most I could ever see this game getting back in the days would be an 8. And if I was critical as to how the game performed and the New Game Plus and everything, because you can't really even call this New Game Plus, because you didn't really get anything special anyway. You didn't get to keep any of your stuff. So now that didn't exist back in the days, I couldn't see myself giving it extra points. So the game is, as I said, without a New Game Plus feature, is anywhere from like a 7.5 to an 8. But if you were expecting a New Game Plus feature, you would have dropped it down to a 7. But back in the days, they didn't think about things from New Game Plus. So let's say no one knew what New Game Plus was back in the days. So the standard would still stay in place. It would still be anywhere from 7.5 to an 8. And that's not really good. So it was only can be considered good because it was the first in its genre. If it wasn't the first in its genre, in the survival horror, this game would have not been considered good. If there were other games during that time period that were also doing survival horror, if they had competition, I guarantee this game would not have done as well as it did. So yeah, that's my opinion. The original Resident Evil 1 was, in my opinion, is anywhere between 7.5 to an 8. So I would give it a 7.8. That's the most I would have given it, based on what I've seen today. and what I've played from beginning to now, and all my complaints about running into walls, tanky controls, and knowing the fact that if I was playing the game back in the days, it would have still been the same as me playing it now. Because the controller were much harder back then, and movement was much more tanky back then with regards to controllers. So it would have been even worse. Now think about it. So now that I actually really thought about that, no, I think 7.5. Yeah, now that I really thought about that, controllers were much worse back then. So 7.5. That's the most I would have given this original game. So in my opinion, if a game is in a C, it has succeeded, but it has slightly succeeded. But if I was expecting some type of reward from playing the game back in the days, it would have failed, and I would have dropped it to a 7. Do C really considered a successful game in my opinion? In my opinion, a C gamer is not really successful in my opinion at all. Not in the slightest. Because C games are considered mid at best. C rated games are considered mid at best. To me, a successful game is typically a 3-star game. And based on this game, when it originally came out, because it didn't have competition, it was a 3-star game. But now that time has changed and you go back and look at it, this would have been anywhere from a 2.5 to a 2.8 on stars level. Which means it would have been like a 7 point, anywhere from a 7 to a 7.8 or 7.9, but it would not have been like an 8 or 8.3 or 8.4 or anything like that. You just have to be honest with yourself. The amount of fucked up things they did in this game that they could have fixed, they just didn't do. They only allowed a skip, and here's the thing. I don't even think the skip portion when you beat the game the first time was something that existed in the original game. I believe only in Director's Cut they added the skip feature. But who knows? I wasn't there back in the days. Maybe it was there back in the days. But it doesn't matter. Because if you died multiple times to an enemy, you still had to see a ridiculous cutscene over and over again without skipping it. Like if you didn't do it already and they didn't code it. So a lot of things weren't coded the right way. So at best, I would say this game would be a 7.5 for me. At worst, it would have been a 7. That's just realism. If I was back in the days and if I first purchased this, I would have been very pissed off playing this game on tanking controllers. So the most this game would have gotten is a 7. The hype of its existence being popular and popularity of its characters and stuff is simply based on the fact that it was one of the first in the genre that did the horror thing correct with regards to aspect ratio, angles, zombie behaviors, and a storyline that made somewhat sense. So it was one of the first that did it right, and simply for that fact, it got a entire 1 point or extra, which put it into the popularity of zombie horror survival. But realistically, gameplay wise, the gameplay, it was not good. And I'm pretty sure back in the days everyone would have agreed that it was not good either. And what have I always said with regards to the game? If the gameplay is shit, it don't matter how great the story is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the game has just lore or the game has story. If the gameplay aspect of the game is shit, then the whole thing is either mid at best or is failure. If a gameplay is shit and the gameplay mechanics is shit, UI, turning edges, aspect ratio, interactive button, you name it, whatever it is with regards to the gameplay is bad, nothing can save that game. It would be mid or it would be a failure. That's why I say this game is lucky that it was one of the first in its genre, or if not the first in this genre. Because if it if it wasn't and there was competition there, I'm pretty sure everyone would have put this game in the low sevens or high sixes. So that's all I gotta say. Resident Evil is truly popular and awesome the way it is because it was one of the first. And directly after, when they made Resident Evil 2, that's when other companies started to get into the survival horror. But by then, they already made a stamp within the genre and made a name for themselves. And so everyone was expecting Resident Evil 2 to be better than 1, which it was. And the moment they made Resident Evil 2, no one could have really catch up to them and did it better than them, because everyone was using the same type of operating system and software or something a little bit different. But they already made a name for themselves, so you would have to beat them simply because they were one of the first. So it was kind of stupid in a way. Like, how can you beat someone who first invented something or came up with something or defined something? It would have been hard to beat them because you didn't do it. So you would have had to do something, a complete 180, but in the same genre. And unfortunately, back then, no one was really doing that. So Resident Evil really didn't have much competition back in the days. And that's why it's successful to this day, because it didn't have competition. It really didn't. That's the realism of the whole existing thing that a lot of people don't want to admit. And some do admit. But that's it. The gameplay was fine for what it is. I just didn't like a lot of stuff. And I completely forgot that were bad back in the days. Like, the whole live action scene was a full 1 minute live action scene. And like a less than 30-second scene at the end, live action. But like, so they really didn't have budget for those live actors at all. But they had a ridiculous amount of budget for the entire fucking game. And then I kept saying to myself, well, you maybe borrowing cameras and costumes and all of that and setting up stuff was far more expensive and taxing, which it probably was. But I guarantee they would have solidified themselves if they would have done more in that category. Easy. And they would have spent less time in making more tile set locations and more in redefining tile set locations, so that when you go to a door, you interact with something, or you bank a corner, it feels more smooth. But they didn't do that. I don't know, man. It's like, I don't make these games. I can't really tell people what makes sense and what doesn't, because I'm pretty sure they've probably thought about these things too, but they just didn't have the power to do so based on the software. But from the acting point of view, the live action, they had the power to do some shit about that. Just like from the skip button part of view, they had the ability to do something about that too. They could have put it in the first game. You didn't have to play a game again to do a skip. I don't know. A lot of things that maybe they just didn't have someone who was a good script writer. This is what I'm thinking. I think they just didn't have someone who was a good scriptwriter, that's all. And what I mean by scriptwriter, I mean not the story of them coming to the mansion, them interacting with Wesker, them learning about Umbrella. I mean scriptwriting as regards to how the buildings are going to be mapped out, how locations are going to be set, how do you interact with certain doors and certain things, and how do you map out those. There wasn't like a proper script to how to get to places correctly, so they just put things wherever in certain areas, and then you just went through it. I don't know. Plus the map wasn't helping at all. Like, the map just represented in red where you are, and other places that you explored or you've been walked through turns green, and doors were all yellow. So if a door was locked, it would still be yellow. So there wasn't much thought with regards to the scripting of the gameplay of the game, not the scripting with regards to the story. So I don't know. At most, I would give this game a 7.5 if I was back in the days. At most, I, I I can't see myself enjoying this game back in the days, especially if I was using tank controller. I would probably be pissed off after I played this for the first time. And for the fact that it would be the first survival horror game, that would be the only reason why I would play this game a second time, for the survival horror. And then after playing the second time and beating it the second time, then moving forward, I would know what to do and how to bank corners and how to get through things. And I would give the game maybe 1 or 2 or 3 more points simply for that, but it would never leave the 7 categories. Because I'm thinking about things from the point of view of someone who's never played a survival horror game before, back in the days. And then they picked it up for the very first time. So I cannot see them enjoying this game. Mechanically, the game. So yeah, the most fair number I would give it is a 7.5. So that's it for this. Probably won't come back to this again. I'm done with tanky games. I'm out. Dino Crisis is done. This is done. Next time I play this will simply be for nostalgia purposes. And that's it. About the only really tanky old school game that I truly enjoyed was Code Veronica and Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Because after 3, 4 came into play, and that was a completely different aspect ratio and completely different mechanics and 3D version of the game, shot from different angles, from behind the shoulders. So yeah, I would say those are the only 2 games I truly enjoy. A lot of people like Resident Evil 2 better than like Code Veronica, but the mechanics of Code Veronica was the same as Resident Evil 2. It was the same. When Claire run up the stairs in Resident Evil 2 and bank a corner, it was the same as when Jill or Claire run up the stairs and bank a corner in Resident Evil 2. There was no difference. The mechanics didn't change for those games. I don't know. I'm done.